Welcome to Coconut Tail channel.
On Thursday night, she sighed. We need a break. I put down the letter about the 40% raise and the move in 3 weeks. Her expression turned to panic, while mine remained calm. I respected her request by booking a flight to Denver. Is an inevitable continuation coming? You know that moment when someone thinks they are playing chess, but you have been playing the whole game 3 moves ahead. That is exactly what happened when my wife decided to follow her best friend Vanessa's brilliant relationship advice. The idea was to take a break to make me panic and promise anything and everything to keep her. It was a Thursday evening. I was sitting at the kitchen table looking through some work documents when she walked in with this strange energy, as if she was preparing to make a huge announcement. She sat across from me, took a deep breath, and said with the kind of dramatic pause you expect in a soap opera, "I think we need to take a break." Most men probably would have started to panic, asking what they did wrong and begging for another chance. But I had been expecting this for weeks. Her best friend Vanessa is not exactly subtle when she has had a few drinks at their weekly dinners. Last month, I overheard a phone conversation where Vanessa was coaching Rachel on how to gain the upper hand in our marriage. The plan was simple: announce a break, watch me panic, then return as the hero while I was supposed to be grateful and promise anything to keep her. When she delivered her line, I simply nodded and said, "Perfect timing." She blinked, clearly thrown off by my response. This was not in the script Vanessa had given her. "What do you mean, perfect timing?" she asked, and I could hear the first crack in her confidence. I reached into the pile of papers in front of me and pulled out the document I had been reviewing. Well, I was considering this job transfer opportunity in Denver. Great promotion, significant salary increase, and corporate housing assistance. I was hesitating whether to accept it because I did not want to disrupt our life here. I slid the approval letter across the table. Her eyes skimmed it quickly, and I saw her face go from confident to confused, then to something approaching panic. "You applied for a transfer?" she stammered. 3 months ago. I got the approval last week. I had been thinking about it and wondering if it was the right choice for us. I leaned back in my chair, completely calm. "But if you want a break, well, that makes the decision pretty easy, doesn't it?" The color drained from her face. This was definitely not how Vanessa said it would go. But I did not mean that. I mean, we could work this out. She started to backtrack. "Work what out exactly?" I asked. "You just said you want a break. I am giving you exactly what you asked for. In fact, I am making it even better. You will have all the space you need, and I will start fresh in a new city with a professional opportunity one have been dreaming of." She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. "That is not what I meant by a break." "Really?" "Because it was pretty clear to me. You want space and time apart to think. Denver gives us plenty of both." I gathered my papers, including the approval letter. "Actually, this works out even better than I thought. I was worried about asking you to move, but now I do not have to. You cannot just leave," she said, and now there was real panic in her voice. "Why not? You just told me you want a break. I am not leaving you. I am respecting your wishes while pursuing an incredible opportunity. It is a win for both of us." I stood up and walked to the kitchen to grab a beer. "Oh, and do not worry about the timing. They want me to start in 3 weeks, which gives us plenty of time to sort out the logistics." 3 weeks, her voice cracked slightly. "Yes, it is a fast-track program for experienced candidates. They even cover all relocation expenses and provide temporary housing until I find a permanent place." I took a sip of my beer and looked at her. "You should probably call Vanessa and thank her for the advice. Without her brilliant idea to take a break, I might have turned this opportunity down." The look on her face was priceless. The confident woman who had walked in ready to control the situation was gone, replaced by someone who clearly realized she had trapped herself. "I need to think about this," she said weakly. "Of course you do. That is what breaks are for. To think." I headed for the stairs. "I will be upstairs making a few calls. Denver wants an answer by tomorrow, and thanks to your timing, I know exactly what to tell them." As I walked away, I heard her frantically dialing a number on her phone. I did not need to guess who she was calling. Vanessa's brilliant strategy had spectacularly backfired, and they both knew it. I was genuinely excited about the opportunity in Denver. Sometimes the universe has a funny way of lining things up perfectly. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of frantic, muffled whispering downstairs. Rachel was on the phone at 7 a.m., which meant one thing. Damage control mode was in full effect. I made my coffee and headed to my home office. I had 3 calls scheduled with Denver Human Resources to discuss the transfer details, and I wanted to get an early start. The promotion was real, the opportunity was legitimate, and her little stunt had simply made my decision incredibly easy. Around 9 a.m., she appeared in my doorway with that fake casual attitude people use when they are panicking inside, but trying to look nonchalant. "So, I talked to Vanessa last night," she started. "The one who coached you on relationship manipulation tactics." I did not look up from my laptop. "How did that conversation go?" She froze. "What do you mean, coach? Please. You think I did not notice the sudden personality change, the strategic timing, and the rehearsed delivery?" I finally looked up at her. "I have been married to you for 6 years. I know when you are being yourself and when you are following a script written by someone else." Her mouth opened and closed like a fish. "You knew?" "I have known for weeks. I overheard that phone conversation where she explained how to take back control of our marriage by making me chase you." I leaned back in my chair. "Honestly, I was curious to see how far you would actually go." The color left her face. "So you were just waiting." I was weighing my options. The Denver transfer was already on the table. I just had not decided if it was worth disrupting our life here. I shrugged. "Turns out, you made that decision for me." She sat heavily in the chair across from my desk. "This is not how it was supposed to happen." "No kidding. Let me guess. I was supposed to panic, beg you to reconsider, promise to change, maybe throw in some expensive jewelry or a vacation to win you back?" She did not answer, but her expression spoke volumes. "Here is the thing about manipulation tactics," I continued. "They only work on people who do not see them coming. Once you know someone is trying to play you, the game changes completely." My phone rang. It was Denver Human Resources, right on time. "Excuse me, I need to take this." I answered with professional enthusiasm. "Hello, this is regarding the senior director transfer." "Yes, absolutely. I am ready to move forward with the acceptance." I watched her face crumble as I confirmed the start dates, discussed housing arrangements, and finalized salary details. This was not a bluff or a threat. It was me actively building a new life. When I hung up, she was staring at me with a mix of shock and desperation. "You just accepted it? You really took the job? Why not? Great opportunity, fresh start. And apparently, my wife wants space to find herself. Seems perfect all around. But what about us? What about our marriage? What about it? You said you wanted a break. I am giving you exactly what you asked for." I started typing notes from the call. "Actually, I should be thanking you. Without that conversation, I might have let this opportunity pass by." She stayed silent for a long time. What if I changed my mind? What if I said I do not want a break anymore? I stopped typing and looked right at her. "You mean, what if you realized your manipulation failed and now you want to regain control of the situation?" "I was not trying to manipulate you, really. So Vanessa did not specifically tell you to announce a break and watch me panic. She did not coach you on how to make me desperate to keep you." I raised an eyebrow. Because I heard that entire conversation, word for word. She slumped in her chair, completely caught. "Here is what is going to happen," I continued in a matter-of-fact tone. "I am taking the job in Denver. It is an amazing opportunity, one I've worked years to get. You can decide what you want to do. Come with me and be a supportive partner, or stay here and enjoy the break you asked for." "Those are not really choices," she said quietly. "Of course they are. But here is the catch. I am done with games. I am done with tests. I am done following scripts written by people who think relationships are power plays." My phone buzzed with a text. The moving company wanted to schedule an estimate. "The movers are coming on Thursday for quotes. If you want to be part of this move, you need to decide now. Not after more conversations with Vanessa. Not after more strategic planning sessions. Now." She stared at me as if she was seeing a completely different person. "Are you serious? You are really going to do this?" Deadly serious. I had spent too many years building my career to let relationship games derail an opportunity like this. I stood up. "Vanessa's advice cost you the chance to control this situation. Now you have to decide if it also cost you your marriage." I walked to the door, then stopped. "Oh, and when you talk to her today, and we both know you will, tell her that manipulation tactics work both ways. The difference is mine actually succeeded." As I walked away, I heard her grab her phone. It was time for round 2 of damage control. Too bad for them both. I was already 3 moves ahead. Thursday afternoon, the moving estimates were done, the boxes were ordered, and I had a detailed timeline for my transfer. Rachel, meanwhile, had gone through what I can only describe as the 5 stages of manipulation grief. First, denial. She spent 2 days acting like nothing had changed, making dinner, trying to initiate normal conversations about weekend plans. When I reminded her we needed to decide which furniture was staying or going, reality hit and turned into anger. You cannot just uproot our whole life over one conversation, she yelled on Tuesday night. This is insane. I am not uprooting our life, I replied calmly while labeling boxes. I am accepting a promotion that represents years of hard work. You are the one who wanted space to think. Wednesday brought bargaining. She suggested couples therapy, a second honeymoon. She even suggested we could try for kids, something she had been avoiding for 2 years. We can fix this without you moving out of state, she pleaded. Fix what exactly? The fact that you tried to manipulate me on Vanessa's advice, or the fact that when I did not react the way you expected, you want to pretend like nothing happened. Now it was Thursday, and we had entered the depression phase. She had been crying on and off since breakfast, making calls to family members, painting me as the villain abandoning our marriage over a misunderstanding. I was in the garage organizing tools when Vanessa finally showed up. I had been wondering when she would make her entrance. We need to talk, she announced, walking into my garage like she owned it. Really? I kept wrapping tools in newspaper. This whole thing is my fault. I gave her bad advice. But you cannot destroy your marriage over this. I stopped what I was doing and looked at her. You are absolutely right about one thing. It is your fault, but you are wrong about everything else. Look, I was just trying to help her feel more appreciated. You were taking her for granted, and I thought if you realized you could lose her. Let me stop you right there. I put down the wrench I was holding. You thought you could manipulate me into being a more grateful husband by having my wife threaten to leave? That is not advice. That is sabotage. She shifted uncomfortably. It was not supposed to happen like this. No, it was supposed to work. I was supposed to panic, grovel, make promises, maybe buy expensive gifts. Then you could have felt superior about how you trained me to be a better husband. Her silence confirmed everything. Here is what you did not plan for. I continued. I do not react well to manipulation. I do not play games, and I definitely do not reward people who try to control me through psychological tactics. But she loves you. She is devastated. She is devastated because your plan failed. If she loved me, she would not have tried to manipulate me in the first place. Rachel appeared in the garage doorway, eyes red from crying. Please, can we just talk about this, the 3 of us? There is nothing to discuss. I went back to packing. I am taking a job I earned. You wanted space to think, and now you have it. Vanessa's strategy did not work out the way you hoped. End of story. It was just supposed to make you appreciate what you have, Rachel said desperately. I appreciated what I had. Past tense. What I do not appreciate is being tested, manipulated, or treated like a lab rat in your relationship experiments. Vanessa stepped forward. What if she promised to never listen to my advice again? What if we both admitted we were wrong? I laughed. I actually laughed. You think this is about a promise? This is about character. You showed me exactly who you are when you thought you could get away with it. People make mistakes, Rachel whispered. This was not a mistake. It was a calculated plan to manipulate me into submission. The only mistake was thinking I would not find out. I taped the box I was packing shut and labeled it clearly. Garage tools. Denver. The movers are coming on Monday. I start work the following Thursday. These are facts, not negotiations. Vanessa tried another angle. And forgiveness? And overcoming problems together. I forgive. I am not pursuing any legal action. I am not contesting any joint property. I am not even asking her to reimburse the couple's therapy sessions we apparently did not need. I looked right at her. But forgiveness does not mean accepting manipulation as normal behavior. Rachel broke down completely. I cannot believe you are throwing away 6 years of marriage over this. I am not throwing away anything. I am choosing not to stay in a relationship where my partner takes advice on how to psychologically manipulate me from someone who thinks marriage is a power game. I picked up another box and headed toward the house. You both made your choices. Now you have to live with the consequences. As I walked away, I heard Vanessa say, maybe if you go to Denver and show him you are willing to change. I stopped at the door. Do not do that. This is not a romantic comedy where grand gestures fix everything. This is real life where actions have consequences. That evening, I got a call from Denver Human Resources. They were excited to have me on the team and wanted to discuss some additional responsibilities that came with the role. As I talked about the exciting challenges ahead, I realized something important. I was genuinely looking forward to my new life. Sometimes the best thing that can happen is someone showing you exactly who they are. It makes decisions incredibly clear. Saturday brought our monthly family dinner at Rachel's parents' house. A tradition I normally enjoyed, but this time it would serve a different purpose. Rachel had spent the week calling relatives, painting herself as the victim of my sudden and unreasonable decision to abandon our marriage for a job. I showed up with a folder of documents and a recording on my phone that would set the record straight once and for all. There he is, Rachel's father said when I walked into their living room. The man who is apparently too good for the family now. The whole family was there. Parents, siblings, even Rachel's grandmother who rarely left her house. They had clearly been prepped for an intervention. Actually, I am glad everyone is here, I said, putting my folder on the coffee table. It saves me from having to repeat this conversation multiple times. Rachel's mother jumped in immediately. We know you got a job offer, but leaving your wife for career advancement seems extreme. You are absolutely right. It would be extreme if that was what was happening. I opened my folder. But that is not the whole story, is it? I looked straight at Rachel, who had gone pale. 3 weeks ago, Rachel announced she wanted a break in our marriage. What she did not tell you is that it was not a spontaneous decision. It was part of a calculated plan. What are you talking about? Her sister asked. I pulled out my phone. I am talking about this conversation I recorded last month when Vanessa came over to coach her on relationship manipulation tactics. The room went dead silent. Rachel's eyes widened in panic. You recorded us? She whispered. I recorded someone in my own home discussing how to psychologically manipulate me, which was perfectly legal. I pressed play. Vanessa's voice filled the room. Just tell him you need a break to think. He will panic because men always panic when they think they are losing control. Then when he is desperate and promises to change everything, you come back as the hero ready to fix things. You will have all the power in the relationship after that. Then Rachel's voice. But what if he does not panic? What if he just says okay? Trust me, he will. Men like him need to feel needed. Take that away and watch him crumble. Then you can train him to be the husband you really want. The silence in the room was deafening. I stopped the recording. So when she announced our break, I told her about the Denver promotion I was considering. Funny thing about manipulation. It only works if the target does not see it coming. Her father looked between me and his daughter. Is this true? Rachel was crying now, but not the sympathetic tears she had been using all week. These were tears of absolute humiliation. It was not supposed to be like this, she managed to say. What was not supposed to be like what? Her grandmother asked sharply. You tried to trick your husband? Vanessa said it would make him appreciate me more. Rachel sobbed. So instead of talking to your husband like an adult, you decided to play mind games. That came from her brother, who looked like he had never seen her before. I pulled out the Denver offer letter. This is a senior director role with a 40% pay bump and a full relocation package. It is the kind of opportunity most people work their whole careers for. I set it on the table next to the transcript of the recording I had printed. Your daughter tried to manipulate me into being a more grateful husband by threatening our marriage. When that failed, she spent this week calling all of you to paint me as the villain choosing career advancement over fixing our problems. Her mother picked up the transcript and started reading. Her expression completely changed. The real question, I continued, is what kind of person gets coached on how to psychologically manipulate their spouse, then follows the plan when she thinks it will work. Rachel's sister stared at her in shock. You really did this? You planned all this? I was just trying to make him pay more attention to me, Rachel said weakly. By pretending you wanted to leave him, her grandmother said. That is not how marriage works, sweetheart. Her father cleared his throat. Son, I owe you an apology. We did not know the whole story. I did not expect you to. She has been calling you all week describing me as heartless and unreasonable. But I wanted you to hear the truth from me before I left. I stood up and gathered my documents. The movers are coming on Monday. I fly out on Wednesday to house hunt. Work starts the following week. And therapy? Her mother asked. And overcoming this together? What exactly would we be overcoming? The fact that she tried to manipulate me or the fact that she got caught? I shook my head. Some lines, once crossed, cannot be uncrossed. Rachel looked around the room desperately. The family that had been ready to shame me for abandoning her was now looking at her like she was a stranger. Please, she whispered to me. Do not leave like this. I am not leaving like anything. I am accepting a promotion I earned and starting a new chapter in my life. You are the one who said you wanted a break to think. I headed for the door, then turned back one last time. For what it is worth, I hope you figure out what you really want instead of letting Vanessa decide for you. But whatever you figure out, do it on your own time. Walking to my car, I heard the family discussion erupt behind me. No longer angry voices directed at me, but confused and disappointed voices directed at her. Sometimes the truth is the most powerful weapon you can wield, and sometimes the best way to win is simply to let people see who they are really dealing with. Sunday to Tuesday were the 3 longest days of what was left of our marriage. After the family dinner disaster, Rachel went into total desperation mode while I methodically prepared for my new life. The movers arrived Monday morning as scheduled. As they loaded box after box into the truck, she made increasingly frantic attempts to change my mind. I will cut off all contact with her, she said, following me from room to room. I will never speak to her again. Good for you, I replied, directing the movers to my office equipment. That is probably a smart move regardless of what happens with us. I really mean it. I will block her number, delete her from social media. Everything. You should do whatever you think is right. I handed another box to the mover. Just do not do it for me. Do it because you finally realize she is toxic. Monday afternoon, most of my belongings were either packed in the truck heading for Denver or stored in the garage for a later pickup. The house felt strange, half empty, like a movie set being taken down. That was when Vanessa showed up again, this time with what I can only describe as a full confession and an apology to her. I need to fix this, she announced, walking through the front door. This is entirely my fault. Finally, something we agree on. I was emptying the last drawers of my desk. I will call your work. I will explain that this is my fault, that you are making a mistake because of bad advice I gave her. I stopped what I was doing and stared at her. You will do what now? I will call Denver and tell them you are having marital problems because of me, that you are not thinking clearly. Let me stop you right there. I put down the papers I was holding. You think I am going to let you sabotage my career because your manipulation did not work out as planned? She looked confused. I'm trying to help fix this. No, you are trying to control the situation once again, exactly like you have done throughout this whole marriage. I stepped toward her. Here is what is going to happen. You are going to leave my house, stay away from Rachel while she thinks about her life. And if you even think about contacting my employer, I will make sure that recording is shared with everyone you both know. Her face went white. You would not do that. Try me. She left without another word. Tuesday brought the final wave of desperation. Rachel had clearly spent the night crafting what she thought was the perfect speech to change everything. I thought about what you said. She started over coffee that morning, about showing you who I really am. Oh yeah, I was checking my flight details for Wednesday. I realized I let others influence me too much. Not just her, but my mom, my sisters, even social media. I lost sight of what I really wanted versus what I thought I should want. It was more self-awareness than she had shown in months. But it was also 3 days too late. That is good introspection, I said genuinely. You should explore that in therapy. But what if I could prove I have changed? What if I could show you I am not the person who tried to manipulate you? I looked straight at her. How exactly would you prove that? I could come to Denver with you. We could start fresh, away from all the influences here. Start fresh by following me to a city where you know no one, have no job, and no support system. That sounds like dependency, not change. She stayed silent for a moment. Then what would convince you I am different? Nothing. The word hung between us. That is what you do not understand. This is not about convincing me or proving anything. It is the fact that when you thought you could get away with it, you chose manipulation over honesty. But people can change. Of course they can. But they change for themselves over time, through consistent actions, not through grand gestures after getting caught. I finished my coffee and stood up. I hope you do change. I genuinely hope you find out who you are when you are not getting advice from toxic friends or trying to control situations through manipulation? What if I already know? What if losing you made me realize exactly who I want to be? Then be that person for yourself. Not for me. Not to win me back, but because that is who you really are. She started crying again, but her tears felt different, less desperate, more genuinely sad. I really loved you, she whispered. I know you did. In your own way. I grabbed my keys. But love without respect is not enough, and you cannot respect someone you are actively trying to manipulate. Wednesday morning, she drove me to the airport. The conversation was minimal, but not hostile. Just two people who had reached the end of something that could have been beautiful if it had not been poisoned by games and manipulation. At the boarding gate, she made one last attempt. What if I moved to Denver in 6 months, after I have had time to work on myself? Would you consider starting over? I looked at her one last time. If you are going to work on yourself, do it for you. Do not do it with the goal of winning me back. That is just another form of manipulation. So this is it. 6 years of marriage gone. 6 years of marriage that ended when you decided to follow Vanessa's advice instead of just talking to your husband. I picked up my carry-on bag. The marriage you are mourning ended 3 weeks ago. You are just realizing it now. Walking toward the boarding gate, I did not look back. Not because I was angry, but because I was genuinely excited about what came next. For the first time in months, I felt like I was making decisions based on what I really wanted, not reacting to someone else's manipulation. Sometimes, the best thing you can do for someone is refuse to enable their worst behavior, even when that someone is the person you thought you would spend your life with. 6 months later, I was settling into my corner office in Denver when I got an unexpected call from my former brother-in-law. I thought you should know what is going on here, he said without preamble. Denver had been everything I hoped for. The work was challenging and rewarding. I had bought a house in the mountains with an incredible view and had started dating someone who communicated directly instead of playing games. She has been in therapy twice a week since you left, he continued. She cut off all contact with Vanessa. She got a job, her own apartment. It looks like she is really working on herself. Good for her, I said. And I meant it. Vanessa, on the other hand, is a different story. Word got around about what she did. The recordings circulated in their social circle. She has basically been ostracized. She lost her job when her employer found out she was coaching people on manipulation tactics during work hours. I felt a brief moment of satisfaction, then moved on. Actions have consequences. She tried to apologize to you through the family. She wanted your number. I hope you did not give it to her. Of course not. But she is apparently telling anyone who will listen that this whole thing ruined her life. She ruined her own life when she decided to sabotage other people's marriages for fun. There was a pause. Look, I know it is not my place, but she really has changed. My sister, I mean. She is not the same person who tried that manipulation stunt. I am glad to hear it. I genuinely hope she builds a better life. But her growth does not erase what she chose to do when she thought she could get away with it. I am not a rehabilitation project or a reward for self-improvement. He stayed silent for a moment. I just thought you should know. After hanging up, I looked out my office window at the Rocky Mountains and felt nothing but gratitude. That call confirmed what I suspected. I had made the right choice. That evening, I received a text from an unknown number. Despite changing my phone plan, she had somehow found my new contact information. I know you probably do not want to hear from me, but I needed you to know you were right about everything. I am sorry for who I was and grateful for who I am becoming. I hope you are happy. I stared at the message for a long time, then deleted it without replying. Not out of cruelty, but because replying would encourage more contact. The following weekend, my girlfriend and I went hiking in Rocky Mountain National Park. As we reached the summit and looked out over the vast landscape, she asked me for the first time about my previous marriage. Do you ever regret how it ended? I regret that it had to end at all, I said honestly, but I do not regret refusing to accept manipulation as normal behavior. And if she really has changed, then she will build a good life with someone else. Change does not entitle anyone to a second chance with people they were willing to betray. She nodded thoughtfully. That is a hard line to hold. It is the only line that makes sense. You teach people how to treat you by what you are willing to accept. Coming down the mountain, I realized I had not thought about my ex-wife in weeks. Not because I was avoiding the memories, but because I was genuinely focused on building something new and authentic. The friend who started it all apparently never recovered from the social fallout of her manipulation coaching. According to later updates, she had moved to another state after losing several friendships and her reputation in their community. My ex-wife, from what I heard, seemed to have truly transformed. She got promoted at her new job, developed healthier friendships, and stopped seeking validation through relationship games. But that was her journey. Mine led me to Denver, to a career I loved, to a relationship built on honesty rather than manipulation, and to the knowledge that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is refuse to encourage someone's worst impulses. Some stories do not end with reconciliation. Sometimes they end with two people taking separate paths to become who they are meant to be. And sometimes, that is exactly the ending everyone needed. Comment: Hey everyone, this story really got me reflecting deeply. I've come to see how important it is to value and protect our own self-respect. Setting clear boundaries is actually one of the kindest things we can do for ourselves. Taking responsibility for what we accept in life can be incredibly empowering. Real healing often starts when we finally choose our peace over chaos. I hope you take a moment to think about the relationships in your own life. You deserve honesty and respect in every connection you build. Learning to walk away from what hurts us shows real strength. Let's keep growing by treating ourselves with genuine kindness. I'm rooting for you as you create the calm and authentic life you truly deserve. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.
Thank you for taking the time to watch and support our channel. It just means a lot to us.